Ihr hört einen Podcast vom Future of Festivals, das Branchentreffen für alle VeranstalterInnen, Dienstleistende, EntscheiderInnen und Auszubildenden aus dem Festivalbereich. Die nächste Ausgabe findet von Donnerstag, den 27. bis Freitag, den 28. November 2025 in der Station Berlin statt. Die folgende Aufzeichnung ist aus dem Jahre 2024 von dem Diskussionspanel mit dem Namen
Lighting Design.
Viel Spaß beim Zuhören. Mehr Informationen und Tickets findest du unter www.futureoffestivals.com.
Thank you very much, and first of all, a warm welcome to our audience and to my exciting guests, Cecile van Slobbe, Christopher Schalt, and Florian Görlitz.
Thanks so much.
They will introduce themselves after a while. First of all, I want to introduce myself. Just a moment, just very short. As Sophia said, I own, it's not an agency, it's more like a studio for immersive spaces and events. And I do all this, and I also are a part of, there you can see it, I'm also a part of LAV Veranstaltungstechnik, and we provide excellent technical stuff for festivals and for open air events as well. So, but enough of me, I want to start with my guests. That's much more important than myself. And at first, I'd like to introduce Cecile van Slobbe, and she's the founder and the, I think, creative head of Be the Disco Ball.
Yes, correct.
It's a stunning art. I would say it's a stunning art and performance project where lightning design and lighting art really comes alive, if I can say that. But to find more out, just I want to give you the word, and I want to give you the space to introduce yourself and show a bit of your art, because it's not that technical what we show today, it's more artistic.
Thank you very much. So my name is Cecile and I'm from the Netherlands. I'm a show creator, costume designer and performer with a background in engineering actually. And all of this comes together in my project, Be the Disco Ball. And I want to introduce you to this by showing a video.
Closer.
Yeah, so when people ask me, what do you do? I prefer to just show a video. How would I be able to explain that in 1 minute, right? So I work with performers and they wear my handmade costumes. we actually amplify all the elements in one performance. So the elements costume, movement, and lights, they get amplified by each other. I call this living light shows. So the performer controls the light show throughout the whole space, basically. Maybe we can go to the next slide. Yeah. So I started making mirror suits, and I call these figures human disco balls. They can dance on a stage or fly in the air. And I also made a suit out of neon stones that react to UV lights. That way it glows. And a suit out of glass stones, prisms, which refracts white lights into colored reflections. That suit actually weighs 20 kilograms. So every suit has its own effect, and these together are the living light shows. We can go to the next slide. Yeah. So the performances I do are pretty they're just a wow moment of like maximum 10 minutes. But of course there's a lot of work behind it. When I make a costume, it takes almost 300 hours to make one suit. We program the lights to the music. The music is also edited for every show. So there's a lot of work behind just one moment on the stage. Next slide. Yeah. So here you see a photo of me actually flying at a festival. So this is the flying human disco ball performance. And in every space it looks different because the lights reflect throughout the whole space. They can go around 300-meter distance far. When people look at it, they usually tell me it makes them feel very empowered, that this one human, like this one body, can create such a big effect throughout the whole space. Like one small movement of the physical body gets just prolonged by the light reflections. And yeah, the next, yeah. So this is 3 human disco balls dancing on a festival. And when we are in bigger festivals, there are, of course, multiple stages, and we show up at one of the stages. So it's actually a moment for the lucky few that get to witness that. And it results in these conversations of like, have you seen that? Did you see that? Because it's just 10 minutes, and not everyone gets to experience it, which is really funny because I also hear people talking about my performance and they don't know that I was it, and I get to hear how they describe it and what it made them feel like. So for example, there was a topic online about Burning Man and people's favorite artworks, and there was a person trying to describe my performance, and he said, well, my favorite artwork was the lady shooting light out of her chest. And I read it and I was like, whoa, I wish I'd seen that. It's funny to hear how other people describe the performance, because it's usually something they've never seen before. Yeah, and then I would like to end it with my last slide. Yeah, you can find me, of course, online. And it would be, if you want to follow us, then yeah, do so in Instagram, maybe.
Thank you very much, Cecile. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I think we will talk any further after everyone has shown his artwork. So we come to Christopher. Christopher came directly from the United States over to our Future Festival to show his work. And I'm really pleased that I have him here and give you the stage.
Okay, hi. It's getting hard to hear everybody here. So I'm going to stand over here so I can see the slides as well. So can I get the first slide, please? Oh my God, that's zoomed way in. Can you possibly fit this image to the screen? Well, anyway, I'll just go ahead. I got started with my current batch of LED art from a technical point of view. I'm a computer programmer, and I had this idea that, well, actually a friend had an idea, but I adapted it. What if you had a tangle of LED strips, just a totally disorganized pile of LEDs, and then you could map them so that you could do a coherent image across them. And so I wrote some software to do just that. And that came up, that was my first piece back in 2013, and it's called Tangle. Next slide, please. Next slide. There we go. So there's Tangle working, and you can see these waves of color going past. And as you can see, there's a totally random arrangement of LEDs, but then they get oriented. And the way this works is that you set an iPad on a tripod looking at the piece while the iPad turns on each LED one at a time, and then remembers where in a certain two-dimensional view each LED is, and then it can use that mapping data later to display an image across it. So that's exactly how this is working. So next slide. So I came, as I said, I came at it from a technical point of view, and this is my first really large piece. It's called Firmament, and it's 52 feet across, which is what, 12, 13 meters? And it's 21,000 LED modules, and it's a ceiling roughly 3 to 5 meters off the ground. And originally it was going to be a very, very technical tour de force. It was going to have motion sensors in this web, and people would walk in, and then an avatar would be displayed above them, and then the avatar would follow them around while they're going around, and then other people would have an avatar, and then when the avatars met, they'd blow up and make flames or something like that. And what I realized after a while is this is going to be really hard. So I gave up on that, and I just made it just display pretty pictures. Just display pretty pictures. And I learned my first really good lesson, which is that if you simply do a lovely set of pictures, it actually works pretty well. Can I have the next slide, please? Can you zoom out? Again, can we fit this? Can we fit the image out, not in? Can you make the picture smaller? Because this is... Can you fit the image to the screen? All right, well, looks like all my images are going to be zoomed in. Can you go to the next one, please? So here's what it looks like. And the other thing I learned was that music changes everything. You can do a really sophisticated piece of light artwork, and then people will come up after a while and say, oh, that's nice. And they'll stay there for about 2 minutes, and they'll say, what's next? Especially at Burning Man, when there's just so many things there. But if you give them music, particularly classical music, and you do a sequence of images that's choreographed to the music, you create a narrative that makes people want to stay there forever. And in fact, this piece, which is called Firmament, which means it's a fancy English word for the skies and the heavens and everything, one of the nicknames that people at Burning Man created for it was permanent. As in, we can't get our friends to leave. Come on, we gotta go, we gotta go. And people would say, one more piece, one more piece. So anyway, that was my first big lesson in this world, was giving people a narrative is incredibly powerful. Next slide, please. So then, again, I wish we could zoom out. This is my next piece, which is called Paraluna, which is a wheel roughly 9 meters in diameter, and you can see the spokes there. Each spoke has about 300 LEDs on it, and it spins using persistence of vision, creating a very high resolution display. So it's kind of like Firmament in that it's a ceiling overhead, nice and immersive, but it's spinning. Next slide, please. All right, well, there's a very zoomed in picture, but you can see you can see how as the spokes sweep by, they change color, so you get a very full image. Next slide. And there it is, spinning around. Next slide. There we are. And now, as I said, I like doing my pieces with the classical music, and that's what I do at Burning Man. But I also, of course, take my work to festivals. Actually, some festivals want me to do the classical music. Like, for example, Electric Daisy Carnival in Las Vegas. Imagine classical music right next to the house music stage. Yeah, kind of annoying, but it worked out. Here we are at a trance festival in Los Angeles, or actually Long Beach, last year. And here we're not trying to do the classical music at all. We're just letting the trance music run the show, and everyone's having fun with that. Next slide, please. Now, so people always want to have interactivity. Interactivity is a big buzzword in light art. However, I've learned that interactivity works really well when you have a small piece like this. This is a wheel approximately 2 meters in diameter. It's a piece of mine called Mesmer. And here we have a samba dancer, and she's dancing in front of the camera, which is on the iPad, and it's montaging her image. It's actually using her as a mask that a flame image is projected through. And it's a really, really nice effect. So when you have a small piece where everybody can see the interactivity happening, it works. But I also learned that if you have a big piece and you have some interactivity thing, the person or the people right around the person who are doing the interactivity, they're having a great time. And everybody else is like, why is it jerking around? Right? So until recently, I thought, no, you can't have immersive and interactive at the same time. But then the piece I made after that contradicted that. Next slide, please. This is a piece called Mariposa. It's on my shirt right here. It's a butterfly whose wings are about 8.5 meters wingspan. And unfortunately, we can't see on this picture, because we can't zoom out. But there's a swing, and people swing on the swing, and it makes the wings flap. And that turned out to be a contradiction of the lesson, in that I was able to make a piece that was interactive and immersive at the same time, as long as the interactivity is limited. If you're going to be a light artist and you want to do interactive art, just make sure you limit the heck out of what people can do if you want to have a good effect. Next slide, please. Here's an overhead view of Mariposa. You see, it's like the people all around. Next slide. And here we go. Okay, so it's hard to see, but there's the down there behind the couch. There are people swinging on the swing, and there it is. Mariposa. This is turning out to be my most popular piece. There's a bunch of festivals, mostly in Switzerland, that really want to bring it. So maybe next winter we'll be seeing this in Switzerland. Oh, there we go. There's the swing. All right. Next slide. I also have made a piece that's a nice a hemisphere. I wish we could zoom out here to see the whole thing, but there it is. Next slide. And there it is. There's the animations on the hemisphere. This is really a fun piece because it's immersive in the extreme. I call it mind wash. You go inside and every part of your peripheral vision is filled with light. It works out really well. So anyway, that's kind of what I do, and I've been having a wonderful time. Basically, I like to say that I was a computer programmer who did art for fun, and now I'm an artist who does computer programming for fun.
Yeah, thank you very much, Christopher, to introduce us to your stunning and poetic work. Now we come to a man who calls himself Mechanical Magic, and let's see what he has magical for us.
Exactly. I will do the same. I will also stand over there, so I can see my own stuff. You can go through the slides. So basically what I'm doing is kinetic installations, kinetic stages. So I can do basically everything, every style, but at least it has to move somehow, and it has to, you can go to the next slide, has to have some magic on it. So I try to bring light and movement into a magical harmony. Next. This is how it looks like when I like experiment and when I'm thinking like, okay, what could it be like? I just want to play with the edge of what is actually understandable. I think it's very hard to understand directly how this mechanism works in detail, but it's like, and that's the beauty of it, to really work on like how did it happen? How did he do that? And that's yeah. You can go to the next one. That's the whole magic. That's what I mean with magic. But I have more magical stuff later for you to see. But now I just want to explain you how it started. I was like fascinated by the geometry of nature. For example, here these plants actually are growing the same way like we were growing these towers. Towers that towers that can grow by themselves without ladder, without crane. So we were rotating them up. So that was my first touch point with movement and construction. And now you can go further. What I also came to know, if you make such big things, you have to have a crew. You have to work as a team together. And that was really what was touching me. And that's how I also founded a festival. We have like a lot of people. We started with five friends, and now we have a lot of people making a huge show, all with the target of like bringing this magic to the people and also bring a crew together. Bring like this is also a very magical thing to you know like make something huge as a team, and this really that makes me wake up in the morning to do these things. Next. But I started basically just experimenting, like laser cut, small little things. Here also very interesting, from every corner, from every angle, it looks different. Same as reality. It's always a question of the point of view. And yeah, that was my first really big fascination. I didn't earn money with it. I just wanted to do it. You know, it was like that thing. We can go to the next one. And then I started to use this to make installations. My first touch point with light on kinetic objects. It was beautiful, it was cool, but it was very difficult to like create. It was not that smart. And this is maybe what Christopher also said. Some things are maybe good ideas, but they don't work when it comes to like showing it or like. Yeah, making magic with it. And then I made this little piece. I was like, okay, can't we make on a icosahedron gears all around it, and they actually should move like this, and it was a cool mechanism. And I was then like, okay, let's place some holes so we can put a light inside, and that little thing really hit in like a bomb. We can go to the next. And I was experimenting with it, like how can you make cooler effects by two discs turning in front of each other. And I again went to the laser cutter, invented some new pattern, a lot of pattern, and then suddenly it really happened that like big festivals, like Wurzel Festival in Berlin, were asking me to do some work for them, and we added light to it. And directly, it started a world tour. I went to Madrid, I went to Miami. Then in Miami, they were so fascinated about it that they were like, no, we don't send you back to Germany, you have to go straight to Mexico. In Mexico, I was making that stage out of the Miami stage. So I took the Miami stage with me, added that the surrounding to it, and then I actually just went to Mexico for one project, and it turned out to be 3 projects because more and more people were asking, and that was the next one. And yeah, then also Pasha on Ibiza were asking me to make a stage. I want to show you now a video that you understand how a stage actually works. It's not in the right position, but turn your head. So you see, this is a very different style to the other stages, but still we have the movement, and we have this like a stage that always morphs to a different stage. You always see it different, and especially then in the night. Another aspect is coming when light is added to the thing, then even more. Yeah, that makes you turn. That's actually the biggest compliment that I can get for my art. If people on the dance floor are stopping to dance and they're just like, how? And yeah, that's always very, like, people getting hypnotized actually. And wow, even more rotation. That was great. Okay, now back again. What I also like to do is upcycling stages. I really don't like that we are producing always for just one event and then give me the next thing. So I came up with this stage. Then the next year we're making out of the same pieces, added a little bit, and then suddenly it had a very different vibe. And then one event later, we made out of the same pieces this stage. So 3 very different stages, but with the same pieces. So this is also one of my targets, to make modular systems. Yeah, that's basically the stage part. And now I want to share with you my new thing, the Light Art Festival in South Germany. That is also what we found with the collective. We were making a lot of magical things, mainly with mirrors. So mirrors, there's maybe the disco ball aspect of it. It's also a huge impact on people. So you can just go through the slides. There are a lot of them. So all these installations that I'm showing you are actually also there to rent. And we just made them ready packed and placed them wherever it's needed. And this is also a very, very nice thing to, like, bring artists together for an art show, bring people, like, a whole experience outside of music festival, having light art festivals who are, like, really, like, bring people through this magical thing. Okay, let's go further. This is the next slide. This is the last video that I want to show you. I started to also play with lasers, and it's super cool how laser, fog, and mirrors are interacting with each other. So this is also one thing that I want to develop further now. I think we are running a bit out of time. Let's go to the next video. This is my references. It's okay. And I just want to share with you some future visions also. Of course, I will work in South Germany. I also now have a festival in South Africa. This is gonna really be super magical. And then, of course, I also want to do more events and own productions in Berlin. And unite light artists, unite the artists, because, as I said before, if we are coming together as a community and make it all together, it's just much stronger. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you very much, Florian, to get us into this magic. And you, in your talk and your presentation, you started with some point. I'm really interested in.
Yeah.
That's the point. What makes people doing what they are actually doing? So how does it start, or how how they got into what they are doing? You told the people that you are really interested in these team thing, in these working together in.
So I can just tell how it started with me.
Yeah.
It was in India when I was in a community, and it was actually a completely different. It was not an art project, but I had the need for a project. It was actually water recycling, anyways, and I started to get creative on it, to say, like, let's make the solution, and then suddenly on the next day, the JCB was there digging out the stuff. 15 people wanted to help me, wanted to join the project, and it really touched me. That I'm like, okay, wow, there is something I can like self-express myself, and people are like, yeah, supporting it. And that was actually the initial idea why I also wanted this festival to take place, because I wanted to have more people exactly this experience, that people are like support you with your thing, give you the environment of self-expression, because when you self-express yourself, you are more aware, you are more awake, and this is something that really like energizes you. And this is like that. Till I had that feeling for the first time, it was like a different world to me. Like,
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Cecile. That's what makes me really curious. Is how do you decided to get the disco ball?
It was actually a friend that was talking about a mirror suit, and I was like, what? That's so cool, because I've been behind a sewing machine like since I'm 10 years old. I'm really excited about making clothes. And I tried to look for it. I couldn't find anything about it. And I immediately also had the picture in my mind, what would happen if you shoot lights on that. So I just decided to try to make one. And I did that. And after that, experimented a lot with lights. Now almost all the time now we program the lights as a time-coded show. So it's programmed on the music and the movements are choreographed with it. But it just started with curiosity of what the effect would be if I would make a suit out of mirrors.
And how did it come to your first show, or how did you get your first?
So in the beginning, it was also volunteering performances at festivals and events that I just got to know the organization of, and I was very dependent on the lights. Like I wasn't coming with my own light tech back then.
Yeah.
But I was already excited with what the effect was. And after that, I decided to get more into that and work together with my own team.
So you would say your team is also very, very important for you?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, so I work with riggers, of course, for the aerial acts, and then light techs. And many performers, dancers, aerialists, assistants. Yeah, you really need a team to create something. Yeah.
And how many performers do you have in your team?
I think I work with around 10 performers at the moment. Yeah.
Okay. And Christopher, you said you were a programmer before, and then you became an artist. So how did it came to that?
Well, I kind of said that. This doesn't sound like it's loud enough. Hello, there it is. That's better. I kind of covered that. It came with a technical challenge, like, oh, I wonder if I could make software to make this work. But I also have to give a lot of credit to Burning Man. I don't know if any of you have been to Burning Man, but you just can't even imagine a more stimulating environment, because it's basically like you go to a place that's a blank piece of paper that's 15 miles wide and 60 miles long. It's like it's a blank canvas that you can do literally anything on, and anyone can call themselves an artist and create something. So that's great, right? It wasn't about money at all. And in fact, I was quite surprised when in 2016 I got my first call from some event organizer who wanted to rent my pieces. I'm like, great, sure. But that was never what it was about. So I think that if you get yourself, never mind Burning Man specifically, I think it's really important for artists to find themselves a context that stimulates them. Whether it's a collective, whether it's a commune or something, something that in an environment where you're working not necessarily with other people, but side by side with other people, so that you see them do their work and you say, hey, wait a minute, I like that. I can use a piece of that in my work.
Oh, thank you. One next question I have. So we had you all worked for a while in this field of visual art. Um, in the last 4 years, we all had our challenges in this field, and we all had our challenges in the field of festivals. So how would you describe it? What for you? What was the biggest? How did it change, and what was the biggest challenge you had in the last years?
For me, actually, COVID was the initial takeoff.
Okay.
Because I had like a good amount of time to develop things. Nothing was going on, I just could develop. And after COVID, everybody was like, okay, we have to have the greatest shit, and we have to, like make things running. And that's why I quickly, after the many shows also in Mexico and stuff, happened directly after COVID. And so that was actually, a good thing for me.
Like a booster.
But obviously it changed the industry, and I think that people were because they were not celebrating anymore to music, they were more having the time to look for something else, and maybe also that's why light art is taking off so well right now. And so it's
Actually, I also noticed that during COVID, there was all of a sudden a lot of space to create something in a teamwork environment, because all artists were without work all of a sudden. So we were really like teaming up. This was a period that for me I could like start collaborate with Lightags and have a sound producer make music. Like, it was a time to experiment a little bit more, even though it was, of course, I didn't like that all my shows were cancelled. But looking back at it, I think I improved my work a lot in that period. Yeah.
Yeah, I would kind of echo both what they're saying. COVID was not really a problem for my business, all right? I mean, yes, gigs were canceled, a commission was canceled, but I got time to sit around and actually make art. I mean, one thing that, is like, you shouldn't feel sorry for me, but sometimes I get really frustrated with, I have to spend so much time dealing with contracts and making deals. And in COVID times, there were no deals. So therefore, I got to sit around and make art, and that was really cool. Also, right after COVID, there was a huge explosion of interest, and a lot of people wanted to do bookings. What's going on right now, I'm finding, is that I'm not getting bookings with festivals, with like electronic music festivals. I think they're going through a series of budget reductions. But what I am getting is a lot of interest from light festivals. So not the big rave things anymore, but the music, the light festivals, the art festivals are going really strong right now.
Yeah, that's really interesting. That's my experience as well. So I think you would say that there was a big boost of creativity for this at this time, at the pandemic time, but now it's getting the changes. We experience the changes now, I guess. So what would you say? Which role plays visual arts for festivals now, and how would you describe it? How maybe will it develop in the future?
I mean, what we are having right now, like especially when it comes to light art and all the stuff that we are doing, is we are living in a really unique time. It's the first time that this kind of technology is so accessible, so easy, and the time is just perfect right now because people, as we said, are having a huge interest to it, I think this really takes off. This is the beginning of a new era of art, and I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, and you would say in future it will play a much bigger role than now.
I hope so. I think so.
Okay.
Yes, that's sure.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I see there's some budget problems, but I think that this kind of light art is more popular than ever, and it may just be more in the non-music context. I don't know, but you know, the light festivals, it's all about the light art. So you know, I think it's going to be popular for a while.
Thank you.
Yes, what I do is not really a light installation, of course, but it's definitely an add-on to a festival. So if they are if they have problems, then they get rid of that before they get rid of a DJ. And for light art festivals, this is not per se something I am collaborating with at the moment. So I cannot say anything about that.
Yeah, thank you very much. So hopefully in the next few years we will see much more visual art from you guys. Really, I want to say something. I want to say thank you to you, and maybe you have a last statement for me, maybe to look in the future, or maybe to have something you are really looking forward to, which you would like to announce here.
I mean, I think, like, when we realize that we are all together stepping into a new era of art at the moment, and combine technology with light and event, and you know, like, what we are basically doing is creating experience, creating an environment, and that really, like, changes something in like having, like, to be able to experience this kind of like magic, you know. It's like, but there was not a historical time before that we could experience such things. So this is like, yeah, for me, we have to be super thankful to be able to live within this time, and this is like, yeah, I'm very happy to be able to say that, to be a part of it, and yeah, I hope we can pull even more people and also organizers that understand it.
Yeah, I think we're just starting. Like lights, it's actually, if you look at the history, it's something very recent, this kind of artworks, and I'm really looking forward to where we can bring it in the future. Yeah.
Yeah, what I'd like to see, and it is happening, but what makes me I'd like to see more of, and I'm very excited about, is inspiring the next generation of artists. I mean, I know I said this about Burning Man, but it's really true, you know. It's like you go out there and you see somebody who, you know, and so not just Burning Man, but say you go to a festival and say you see some light art and you say, wow, that's really cool, but you know, I could do something a little bit better, right? I mean, having an environment where you are shown some really good stuff and then also some stuff that's maybe mediocre that makes you say, well, wait a minute. If that counts, I can do it too. I love it when people come up to me and then start bending my ear about, like, you know, how do you do this? What do you do with that? Another thing that makes me feel really good is that I create software that people use. I wrote all of my pieces run off an iPad app called LED Lab that you can actually download in the Apple Store. Don't worry, I don't make much money from it. I'm not trying to make money. But what's really cool about it is it enables somebody to make an LED sculpture, or particularly LED art cars, without having to learn any programming and without having to, you know, invest thousands of dollars into Madrix or some other, you know, professional quality lighting design software. So yeah, I like spreading technology and stimulation and enthusiasm among the next generation of artists.
Thank you. Thank you very much, all of you. And thank you, dear audience. And we come to an end now. It was a pleasure to have you here. And I say goodbye to you and to you.
Das war das Panel mit dem Namen
Lighting Design.
Wenn ihr Kritik oder Fragen habt, dann schreibt uns gerne unter www.futureoffestivals.com. Wir sehen uns spätestens am Donnerstag, den 27. und Freitag, den 28. November 2025 in der Station Berlin. Bis dahin.